Hey, what's going on, Danny? Danny's down in South Carolina. I am interstate. Oh, look at this. We got the dynamic duo on. We got Danica and Danny. What is going on, Danica? Hey, hey, hey. All right, where are we at? We're going to start. Yeah, he beat you. Hey, Ange. Or hey, Harold. I am duo interstatal. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Angie's Angles. It is May 23rd in the year of my Lord, 2024. So we're gonna have we're gonna get going here, and as the banner says, it says you don't see me, huh, Barb? Why not? You don't see me. Interesting. Where are you watching me from? Harold, can you see me? Let's see what's going on. You should be able to see me, no problem. Maybe it's me. Oh, there you are. Okay, great. All right, Harold, do you see me or no? All right, Brett, it must be the Wi-Fi. So thanks everybody for joining us. We are Angie's Angles, come to you live from Smoke Therapy, 215 Ronkonkoma Avenue, Ronkonkoma, New York. Babs, a.k.a. Buzzy, Ruth Buzzy, making an appearance. She's also in South Carolina. So tonight's topics are going to be varied. We're going to discuss Mets go the way that Diaz goes. He's blowing up. We're going to cover around the majors, Danny's recap of the road to the show. And, of course, we'll end the show with our prayer circle. Let's get right into it. We paid one Edwin Diaz $102 million, 5-year deal. Correction, $104 million. The highest paid reliever in Major League Baseball, both total package and average annual yearly at $20.4 million. Mark Brooks, my brother from another. I am tri-interstate Linda Stein, doing the cabinets in her house. I am quadruple interstatal. I'm glad everybody can see me now. I fixed some technical difficulties and we're good to go. So Edwin Diaz, let's concentrate on him for a minute. In the last week and a half, he's blown not one, not two, but 3 blown saves. And after his last save, he's at the locker and he offers a demotion. He says, take me out of the closer's role. I suck. $104 million and you suck. You don't have to be Einstein to figure out that math problem. Edwin Diaz. And then Edwin Diaz has the audacity, the huevos, to say, I'm not going to close for you guys no more. Demote me. I need to be in the tank. I don't understand. You're getting paid $100. I wish I could say for my measly penance that I receive. And let me backtrack. I sign my contract. I make what I make. But of course, my reference was to my measly penance compared to one Edwin Diaz. He's making a gazillion quadruple what I make. And yet I got to wake up every day. Good day, bad day, medium day. I got to go to work. And I got to get my job done. I can't say to Adelphi University, my bad. Demote me. Make me chief pot washer. I can't do it. You know what? They'll say we got a gazillion pot washers. We don't need another. West Coast State Prince. I am quintuple interstatal. So let's get back to the origin of why one Edwin Diaz sucks. And we could go right back to the WBC, also known as the World Baseball Classic. So Major League Baseball happens on the World Baseball Classic. Let's do a little homework here. The World Baseball Classic is owned by Major League Baseball. All these players from Dominican, from Puerto Rico, from Japan, i.e. Otani and Nupa, they all want to play for their countries. Francisco Lindor's on record saying, playing for my country is more important than playing for the New York Mets. Him and his $310 million contract. And he wants to play for his country rather than the Mets. I've covered this ad nauseum on Angie's Angles. If you want to play the World Baseball Classic, you play it in October after the World Series. You don't play it in spring training. And I'll tell you why you don't play it in spring training. Let me recognize Nick Troiano. Hey, what's going on? I despise the Phillies being in first place. It makes me sick. They never lose. You know what else happens, Nick? The Mets never win. Officer Lennon is in the house. What's going on, Officer Lennon? West Coast Dave Prince bringing it up on the big screen. Mets manager better change and restore Edwin Diaz, the closer, and build up his confidence, their star pitcher. And West Coast, that can't be any further from the truth. You're right on point with that, West Coast. And let me tell you something. If I'm Juan Carlos, who the hell are you, Mendoza? I tell Edwin, you better burn the midnight oil and figure it out, Edwin. And if you're hurt, then put yourself on the damn DL. And I refuse to say the IL because baseball doesn't have an IL in my world. They have a DL. If your car breaks down, it's disabled. And forget about the political correctness. It's not the injured. Your car's not injured. Your car's disabled. And if you can't show up and perform your job, you're disabled as well. And West Coast, I got to correct you. They're not teetering at 500. As a matter of fact, they're at 7 games below 500. But here's the scary point that we have to bring light to, apparently, right? It appears that the Mets are only 4 games out of the wild card spot on May the 23rd. 4 games. It's fool's gold. With 13 games out of first place. 13. The Nationals are keeping up with us. The Nationals. Does anybody even know where they play? God's sakes. Nick, we're battling both Washington and the Marlins for last place in our division. And we'll cover that in a little bit. And then Edwin Diaz. The interview's over after his 3rd blown save. Game tying home run after home run. And he sits at his locker and he has a meltdown. He starts crying. Brooks Raley comes over. Francisco Lindor comes over. Sure, why not? I'd probably pick up my teammate too. But you know what I would tell my teammate? Suck it up, Buttercup! You're making $104 million over 5 years. Grab a couple of Benjamins, blow your nose, and get your ass out onto the field and pitch. But I digress. I honestly think that Edwin Diaz is not pitching his fastball because the fastball, you really have to torque your body and throw off your leg. And his knee must be hurting him because he's not getting that push. And the ball is straight. He's not getting any movement, so he's relying on his slider. And they're sitting on the slider. 59 years old, I could hit off of Diaz. And what do we do? What do we do? We keep running him out there. I don't hear about any bullpen sessions. I don't hear about the pitching coach fixing him. I don't hear about a different delivery approach. I don't see them moving him on the mound or the rubber, to the left of the rubber, to the right of the rubber, where it might help his slider break more. No. Hey, Donna, I am say Tuple Interstatal. Donna Janine Elliott downing it up from Hollywood, Florida. I appreciate you, Donna. And yes, the background's fantastic. That's my logo. Strikeout, smoke rings, and spiritual support. If you know what I mean. Edwin Diaz is our closer. And the WBC made us lose him for 2 seasons. For 2 seasons, we lost Edwin Diaz. And now potentially another season. Hey, Steve, what's going on? Yeah, I need some promo stuff, Steve. You're not kidding. Steve says I need shirts made. Yeah, hats, shirts, cups, whatever you think I should do. That'll be a work in progress, I tell you. So if I'm the manager, if I'm the owner, if I'm the general manager of the New York Metropolitans, I take Edwin Diaz and we go in the bullpen. And we have him throw nothing but fastballs. And you got all the metrics available to you. You got the gun. You got the machine that shows how much torque he's putting on every part of his body. You put a lot of money into analytics. Let's see it pay off, guys. I, for one, say you got to keep running Edwin Diaz out there. Let him fix himself. Sure, go see a psychiatrist. Go into a trance. I don't care what you got to do. Harold, let's throw you up on the big screen. Harold says he loves the WBC, but I agree. It should be after the season, but here's the problem. Guess what happens if you do it after the WBC? Now, one of these players are willing to give up their time, their energy, their money to play after the season, because you know what? These superstars say, I got to be in Borsville spring training, which means nothing to them. And they're getting paid. Sure, they'll get paid afterwards, but that means they can't go to Punta Cana. They can't spend their time and money in the Dominican or Japan, for that matter. The WBC is useless. It's American baseball. Sure, you want to reach a global audience. Sure, the London series coming up between the Mets and the Phillies, which my best friend, Alain Lands, has got tickets to go see it in London. And you know what he said to me? Glad I didn't shell out a lot of shekels for a good seat, because he's embarrassed, contemplating a paper bag over his head when he shows up, because the Mets are pathetic. He doesn't want any notoriety, but I spent the night Tuesday night with my cousin. We had dinner. We ordered in. Veal cutlet Parmesan was outstanding. Watching the Mets 3-0, we're winning. But guess what? We didn't wind. We didn't wind up with a win. 0. That concludes my coverage on Edwin Diaz for tonight's show. The WBC needs to go by the wayside. Edwin Diaz needs to compose himself much better than I'm composed. He's got to get his act together. He's got to spend bullpen time. He's got to get the machines on him. We got to see what's flaring up. They got these heat indicators that show, muscles flaring up, bone-on-bone issues. Kevin Elliott, his favorite pitcher of all time, Adam Ottavino, is gasoline. Firemen hate Ottavino because every time he comes into the game, that's all he does is throw gas on the fire. And the guy's pitched like 100 innings already this season on May 23rd. We need to do a better job. We're going to be home. The trumpets will be playing if you bring in Edwin Diaz. Get that energy flowing. Maybe you bring him in a non-safe situation so the pressure's limited. I don't care if it's a blowout either way. He's got to figure it out. Let's bring up the schedule or the standings on the Mets. Pull it up here. So the Mets right now, we're in a virtual tie. Well, we're a half game behind the Washington Nationals. The Phillies have a 37-14 record. Atlanta Braves, surprisingly, are still in it, but they're 6 games out. The Atlanta Braves, but be careful. Acuna hasn't started. Olsen's starting to come around. And if it wasn't for one Marcelo Zuna, they might be right next to us in 4th place. Correction, I said the Mets were 13 games out of first. We're 15. 1-5. But the fans will say, yeah, Ange, but we're only 4 games out of the wild card. Plenty of time. Plenty of time. But you got like 8 teams to jump over to get back into the running. And while we're at it, why don't we let the Little League team be in the playoffs? Along with Lysa, I hear their record is 20-6. We're getting swept. We're not even winning 1 game in a series. It's time to blow up the team. And Mike Marciano, we made a wager today. And if you remember, I said one quote I sang it is done for the season. Done. D-O-N-E. Done. He had a setback. His throwing sessions are being limited. He's got mechanical issues. Hey, Clark, I am Tupo Interstado. What's going on, Clark? So let me tell you something about the Mets. And there's a guy that trolls me on Facebook. I'm not going to mention names, Brett Maletta, who constantly tries to steal my thunder. And he opened my eyes to something very, very obvious that I was blinded by. Mother's Day just passed us by. And he told me right about Mother's Day, Steve Cohen kind of breaks even with the attendance, with the parking, with the this, the hot dogs, the souvenirs, the that, the radio, TV rights, the whole 9 yards. He breaks even. Now he tries to figure out how much money he can make. He's got his money back. Now he tries to figure out how much more he can pile on to make money. He don't care! And you heard it here first. And nor did the Wilpon, so don't think I'm not happy with Cohen as the owner. Because he's got deeper pockets than the Wilpon Madoff lovers. And Steve Cohen bought the Mets with one goal in mind: to revamp the marshlands around Citi Field, to get the gambling license, because then he, his children, his children's children, and 10 generations later will be okay. Because there'll be a constant carousel of money flowing in the Cohen family. Like he needs any more money. And that is why this guy refuses to go to a live game unless I'm invited. And I'm not going to pay the ticket. Yeah, I'll buy a beer for my buddy who invited me. I'll buy a hot dog because it's the right thing to do to my buddy. Hey, Terry, thanks for signing on. I appreciate you. We're at the 8:50 mark, and I'm running over a little bit. Danny's Road to the Show brought to you by DomScalaBaseball.com. A couple of weeks ago, Dom was gracious enough to give me about a half an hour's time as we dissected the replay booth of Manhattan, the Pete Alonso awful slide to home plate, the Beta slide at third. And we covered this. And do me a favor, please log on to my channel, Angie's Angles 4121 at YouTube. Subscribe, like, and comment. I'm getting traction. Watch my shorts. I'll be posting more shorts daily, if not hourly. The Longwood Lions season came to a crashing halt. We lost the game the other day. Double elimination. It was our second loss. Coach McSherry got Coach of the Year award yet again. Well-deserved, Coach McSherry and team. Daniel was nominated to be All-League once again his second year, so he played 2 years of varsity baseball, and in both years, he got All-League. The award ceremony is coming up on June 10th, and me and his mom will be there proudly. As you all know, Daniel's going to be going to St. Joe's and playing for coaches Caputo and Ashatino. Couldn't find two more positive coaches than Coach Caputo and Coach Ashatino. And that's what Danny needs. Danny needs that positive reinforcement. He does well under those auspices. We talked about Danny in the summer, and Danny seems to be in between. Do we play in the summer, or do we give his body a whole season and ramp it up in August? And I really, truly think that it's time for me and Danny to get back into that batter's box and redefine his swing. There's nothing wrong with his swing. A lot of people like his swing. We just got to get to squaring up the ball a little bit better. Danny's Road to the Show brought to you by DomScalaBaseball.com. It's time for our prayer circle. We start off, as always, with Harold. We pray for Dawn and Dawn, his wife and co-worker, and his friend Ed, who's dealing with testicular cancer. Scott Tobias, we're sending prayers out to your wife and your mom. Linda Stein, as your dad every day faces his challenges and soldiers through it every single day. He has my admiration, Linda. Mark Brooks, my brother from another. We are praying for your dad and yourself that you remain vertical, my friend. He's dealing with a little balance issue. And while this really doesn't qualify as a prayer circle request, got to give out a shout out to Ava Lee as she graduates kindergarten and moves into the first grade. That's Mark's granddaughter, who I had the pleasure of meeting up at Bobby Valentine's in Connecticut. Kevin Elliott, as he faces his health challenges, just getting discharged from the hospital after a week-long stay. The Krause family and Aubrey as she faces her remission, and we pray that it stays there. Martha Tassiello, my coworker at work, as she bravely faces her recovery from her illness. Clark, his brother-in-law Brad, and his sister Tricia, as they face the challenges, and the news in from my buddy Clark that Brad is doing wonderfully. We're praying for Deb and Lee down in Maryland as Lee faces all his health challenges. My friend here in the smoke therapy dealing with his rotator cuff injury. And speaking of rotator cuffs, I got two that need some attention. We might address that in the off season. Ray Capers, was great conversation I had with you the other day, and you're looking phenomenal, Ray. Keep it up as he recovers. We're praying for Coach Courtney's brother-in-law Calvin and his sister Pat. Mr. McGowan, sir, we have your 6 as you face and continue to beat that ugly C word. Marianne Bello, my good friend from high school, as her mom faces her health challenges. Big John, we're praying for his friend Richie with throat cancer. His friend Irene and Phil's Nona. And John's almost at the end of his issue, so he still wants another intention for John. Praying for you, big guy. Lonnie, as you face your challenges with the medication and things are going great for you, and the prayers are working, he wants to include his friend Bruce Epstein. And Tom, we're praying for your friend Paul and your friend Janet as they face their challenges. That concludes our prayer circle for the week of May 23rd. Again, I'll reiterate, if you guys ever have a prayer need, please strike out smoke rings and spiritual support on Angie's Angles. It's not just always about baseball, people. And while baseball is my religion, there are bigger and better things in the world to pray for. Thank you, Clark. Please, as we approach the 9 o'clock hour, I ask you, as a favor, go to YouTube, Angie's Angles, 4121. And the 4121 represents the day I started my podcast, April 1st, 2021. I did it from the kitchen of my house. Barbara was magnanimous, giving me the half an hour time. I've done my podcast from the road, from the gates of Graceland, from Alabama, from New Jersey, when Danny and I used to go away every summer. I'm going to miss that with Danny. For those that follow me on Facebook, you saw the post I did, and that was heartfelt. Danny's high school career is over. There'll be no more high school baseball for Danny. And now we face the next frontier, and it's up to Danny to grab it. He's got a huge opportunity in front of him. Outstanding baseball program at St. Joe's and Patchogue, run by Coach Caputo and Ashatino. Top-notch coaches. I believe it's the 3rd year in a row that they won the Skyline Championship. They started off the season a little dicey. They recovered, and they won their championship. Harold, why not? Harold Sanderson, why don't you lead us into this? Rob Manfred hates baseball. Rob Manfred hates baseball. Rob Manfred hates baseball ad nauseum. You can't say that enough, Harold. Please tune in, watch my shorts that I'm going to be doing. I've gotten 800, 400, 500, 600 hits on my shorts. We're going to cover a lot of topics in baseball. We're going to venture off the Mets and just go throughout baseball. And whatever comes up, we're going to cover it. It's been Angie's Angles coming to you live. Smoke Therapy 215 Ronkonkoma Avenue, Ronkonkoma, New York. Please, if you're ever in the neighborhood, stop by. I'll buy you a cigar. I'll get you on the podcast. Good night. God bless. I love you.